So we're about to give away the first medals of the Commonwealth Games 2022, starting off with the men's triathlon, the sprint distance used for the second time at a Commonwealth Games. As we have a look through the start list, and we have the three Australians, Jacob Birtwistle, Matthew Hauser, who comes in good form, and also Brandon Copeland. We do have one DNS, which is Henry Schoeman, the defending Commonwealth champion, will not be competing, so that means we have 46 entries now from 29 nations in this competition today, which is taking place at Sutton Park in Birmingham. And Aaron Royal, I'm pleased to say, in co-commentary, and it looks like the conditions are cherry ripe for triathlon action this morning. Aaron, nice to have you.
Morning, Matthew. Good evening for those back home watching. Yeah, perfect conditions. It doesn't look like there's a breeze in the sky. Actually, I'm surprised to see them in wetsuits. Just 2 days ago, the temperature was over 20 degrees. So there's been a temperature drop. So they're in wetsuits this morning, which should favour the athletes like Jacob Birtwistle, who doesn't tend to have such a strong swim. So yeah, exciting times.
Going through some of the main chances here, Hayden Wild from New Zealand with the ITU rankings comes in as the #1 seed here. Alex Yee is the reigning world champion in the sprint distance of triathlon. Jacob Birtwistle comes in seeded 3, but 9th and 14th, the best results for Jacob in ITU competition this season. But I'm wondering what's going through his head, Aaron, because of course he had that dramatic moment at the Tokyo Olympics when a media bus got in the way and there had to be a second start, and he ended up breaking his nose as a result of an errant arm. So he'll be happy to get off the pontoon nice and cleanly, I'd imagine, Jacob Birtwistle this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, their swim start can be, I liken it to a WWE WrestleMania sometimes around those first buoys. It can be quite carnage. I can see there, I think that Jake has gone to the right-hand side of the pontoon, which looks like it's amongst some of the good swimmers, which is great for him. I expect to see the likes of Matthew Hauser and Taylor Reid of New Zealand up near towards the front. And as you mentioned, Henry Schoeman not starting today, who would have been pushing the pace as well.
And the first leg is a one-lap swim of 750 metres. And off and away.
Yeah, it looked like a clean start. You can see a few athletes there already got a gap. So yeah, can't quite tell who that is just yet, but yeah, clean start by all of those athletes early on. And
of the Australians, Aaron, Jacob Birtwistle, Matthew Hauser, and also Brandon Copeland, who's probably the best swimmer of those three?
Definitely Matthew Hauser. He comes from a swimming background. Across the board this year, he's shown that he's in very, very good shape. So I expect to see, like I said earlier on, Matthew Hauser out towards the front. Brandon Copeland has very much improved his swim. I think he'll probably be on the back end of that front group exiting the water. And yeah, for Jake, he needs to try and stay in contention with the likes of Hayden Wild, who also doesn't have a great swim, but is super strong on the bike. So yeah, I think Matthew Hauser is our best chance in the water.
So this is a one-lap swim of 750 metres, and this is a part of the Sutton Park precinct. Of course, the triathlon here. This is the 5th staging of triathlon at the Commonwealth Games, 3rd successive appearance for the sport, which debuted in Manchester in 2002. It actually skipped the Delhi Commonwealth Games and then reappeared in Glasgow in 2014.
Yeah, so I can see Matthew Hauser on the right-hand side. He's leading that right-hand side pack there, so he's off to a great start. And that is, I can't quite see that number there. I think that might be number 6, actually. No, but yeah, on the right-hand side, Matthew Hauser's off to a great start. You can see there, it's got two quite big arrowheads. Number 9
Daniel Dixon, that is, and that's the young man who's just taken to the sport, inspired by the Brownlee brothers and also Alex Yee, etc. 20 years of age, but he's expected to be the real up-and-comer in the sport for the English nation.
Yeah, and ironically, he's a replacement for Johnny Brownlee, who late replacement crashed out in the Leeds WTCS race just 3 weeks ago. He crashed out and broke his wrist. So, yep, he's inspired by the Johnny Brownlees and got his start because of an unfortunate event by Johnny.
So the swim leg dividing into two groups, and it was Matthew Hauser one side and also Daniel Dixon, the young man from England, on the other. And as they've come through that first buoy, they'll have a straight swim here and then swing left. It's one lap of this particular part of Sutton Park, and it's a 750-metre swim. And at this stage, Hauser is leading and is a couple of body lengths in front at the moment. So this is a really good start for Australia. And the one thing that we need to keep in mind is that Hayden Wilde, who comes in as the #1 seed from New Zealand, won Hamburg recently, which was the last lead-up ITU World event coming into these Commonwealth Games. And Hayden Wilde just defeated Matthew Hauser. So Matthew Hauser's coming in really good form. There was only 3 seconds between them at the finish, Aaron.
Yeah, definitely. I think Matthew's shown this potential for a long time, but hasn't quite, up until this year, been able to put it together at the top level. He was a junior world champion back in Rotterdam in 2017, and slowly but surely been ticking away each year. And I think this year he's really just showing the potential that he has shown over the last 3 years and a few years, and it's finally come through. But obviously with Matthew's strength as a swimmer, you know, he's also a very, very good runner, as we saw in Hamburg, like you mentioned. But his aim now would be to really push this pace in the swim, hopefully have a few allies. I saw that Taylor Reid of New Zealand was in second place, who's also a very good swimmer and a strong cyclist. So he'll be looking to get with those type of guys and put Alex Yee and the likes of Hayden Wilde, as you said before, they're probably the two form runners in the field. And Matthew's really trying to stretch that. And you can kind of see now at around about 8th position, there's a little bit of a split. And you'll see as that comes into transition, that gap might even grow. So great start by Matthew. And
there is a good up and close shot of Matthew Hauser, the young Australian, the man who came into this competition ranked with a world ranking of 9, hailing from Hervey Bay, and had a very quiet time through COVID, but he was able to get back to his initial roots, which was running. He was a very, very good runner, and of course he'll be really still feeling the fact that 4 years ago on the Gold Coast, Aaron, he missed a medal by 2 seconds in finishing 4th at the home Commonwealth Games. So they're about to come to the end of the 750-metre swim into this transition, and this can be oh so precarious coming onto the pontoon initially. How difficult is it just to gain your footing at this stage?
Yeah, I think that these guys will be used to it as they started to exit the water or getting close to exit the water. You'll see here, yep, wetsuit coming off. This is a bit more challenging than a traditional wetsuit. Traditional transition. You've got to make sure that you can get that wetsuit off in time. It looks like they've got a decent run between the exit of the water and their bike, so they've got some time. So, yeah, Taylor Reid leading us out, looking for the other Aussie boys coming through too.
Yes,
Jake
Taylor Reid. Yep, so Burt Whistle's come through 17th at this stage. So Reid is in front for New Zealand, coming in seeded 4, and take us through this transition here as we head towards the cycle leg. It's Reid ahead of Riddle from South Africa, and look at Wilde. He's just coming through now for New Zealand, looking to complete this transition quickly.
Yeah, it's all important to think slow and act quick. It might sound easy, but it's actually quite challenging. Wetsuit off has to go in the box, otherwise that's a 10-second penalty, as you saw Hayden just do that then. And onto the outline, and away they go, feet into the shoes. And I'm really surprised to see Hayden, to be honest, up so far early on in the second onto the bike. No, honestly, no one would have picked that so early on in this race.
Fantastic transition from Jamie Riddle for South Africa, coming in as about the 11th seed in this particular race, and at the moment is right at the head of affairs as they get onto the bike. And that's the early story of this men's sprint, is that Hayden Wild has had a very, very good swim leg, but his countryman Taylor Reid, a time of 8 minutes 34 so far, 2 seconds clear of Jamie Riddle when they left the water, and Hayden Wild was 4 seconds off Reid. So Wild would be absolutely wrapped with that start, Aaron. The one person we haven't really caught up with yet is Alex Yee from England, 15 seconds off the lead at the moment. We haven't even seen a shot of him yet, but he, of course, is the reigning world champion in the sprint distance. And from England, he was the British 10,000 champion in 2018. Very much expecting to give Hayden Wild a shake here. They've both performed very well at the Olympics last year. Yee was the silver medalist in the triathlon, and Hayden Wild, who we're watching here, dueling early in this bike leg with Jamie Riddle. He was the bronze medalist at Tokyo. So Jamie Riddle has now taken it up again as this trio, looking like they're just going to work together at this point.
Yeah, I can see Hauser there. There looks like there's about 10, 15 guys there. Jake Burt was in that group as well. And they're not too far behind the 3 leaders. So, and that's Sam Dickinson going to the front. He also is a very strong cyclist, so we'll be working hard to catch up to those 3. It's a very flat and technical bike course. Well, sorry, not very technical, I should say, but it's very flat and fast. So that probably, to be honest, suits the chase group. You tend to find when it's a very technical course, they if you're a smaller group like you see these 3 in front, it tends to work in their favour. But I think the nature of this course probably lends itself to a group of that 15 guys that are behind.
You mentioned Sam Dickinson. It's been noted that he has made quite rapid progress through the ranks. Steady improvement early, but has really come in towards the top 10 seeds in this particular contest today.
Yeah, quite surprising actually. Like you mentioned there, Jamie Riddle, he's started to step it up a bit this year. We saw in a few of the races earlier this year, like I mentioned, in Hamburg, he was quite aggressive. He's also done a few non-drafting races, so a different sort of format to this. In America, he won the LA Triathlon earlier in the year, which was in around about May, I think it was. And in those type of races, you really have to be a strong all-round athlete. So he's proven that that's the case today.
For our Kiwi friends watching, Dylan McCulloch, he is going well, also 20 years of age, and you can see that Howes has dropped back to 18th in this bike leg. One man we should be looking out for as well is Alex Yee, who comes in, reigning world champion. He's currently sitting 5th, but still about 20 seconds off this leading pack. Of course, Yee and Hayden Wild, they had a very interesting event recently in Leeds, Aaron, where there was a crash, and Yee crashed out, and in the end, Hayden Wild had to take responsibility for it. So even though they're good friends, which I know a lot in the triathlon community are, but there's just a little bit of an edge there.
Yeah, I mean, aggressive racing in tight circuits like it was in Leeds. I didn't actually see what happened there, but I did hear that Hayden maybe made a little bit of an aggressive move and caused Alex Yee to crash. His actually Hayden Wild's teammate, Brendan McCulloch, also crashed at the same time, and subsequently Johnny Brownlee, who broke his wrist and is missing this race. But Alex Yee is in red-hot form. 2 races this year, 2 wins, along with Hayden Wild. Obviously, both of them are in great form, and that's why I'm sure Alex is really chasing, driving that chase pack at the moment, because he knows how well Hayden is running.
Here is Alex Yee, so they really have concentrated on him. Just next to Burt Whistle there, and on the back of Tyler Smith from Bermuda. So how's he looking how's his form looking to your eye?
Jacob?
Yes.
Jake actually looks quite good. Like I mentioned earlier, he probably hasn't had, he definitely hasn't had the year that he was hoping for, and I think Jake's an athlete that really just needs to get into the race and be a part of it. He found himself at the back after a poor swim in the last few races, and just really wasn't being able to feature, where now he looks up and about, and obviously these 3 are clear in front, but hopefully they can chase. I'm backing Jake to have a good run. that going around to start the 4th and final lap, isn't it? Yeah, and there's a few lapped athletes in front of them there. So this narrow section here, they're probably getting held up a little bit around these corners, but yeah, there they go. Yeah, passing there on the right. I read in the briefing that the lapped athletes had to stay off to the left. Normally, like I said, they pulled out of the race, but being the Commonwealth Games, they really want all these athletes to feature and finish, and so yeah, there was just a minor little altercation there between the lapped and the front three, but got through there safely.
So this little trio of Wild, Reed and Riddle have kept this lead to 18 seconds. It was through the completion of the 3rd lap of 4. And then Tyler Smith came through with Alex Yee. So we can see one of the Kiwi riders without the shoe and then the other with. So what's the tactics here coming into the transition from bike to run?
I guess you just want to give yourself a bit of time. They would have done a course recce a couple of days ago. I think it was on Thursday that they would have done that. So they would have been in that course recce, recognising where they want to get their feet off, and you can see them now. They're taking their feet off, put them on top of the shoes, and then making sure that they dismount before this line, which is coming up just now, that red line there, off the bike. Yeah, well before that. That's a safe dismount. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, you don't want to get that 10-second penalty in these short racing. It can be very costly. So
take us through this transition, Aaron. This is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, Hayden Wild is known for his transitions. Feet in, helmet off, in the box, and you watch him go. And yeah, that's super fast. Taylor Reid right on his shoulder, and Jamie Riddle not far behind. And 18 seconds to the chase, guys. I think they've held that gap since the previous lap. So I think it's race on for these minor positions. I think Hayden's probably going to be too strong, but these minor positions are still up for grabs.
And you can already see Hayden Wild full of zest as he's put the shoes on, and away he goes. So there's a 5-kilometre run here. This is the final run leg. It's 2 laps here at Sutton Park of 2.5 kilometres. And Wild leads by a good 15 metres at the moment from Riddle. And if anything, Taylor Reid just looking a little bit more lethargic in 3rd place. So as Wild and Reid came through the transition, they were a good 16 seconds clear of Martin Sobey from Canada, but through that transition, they were 14 seconds behind, along with Alex Yee, Matthew Hauser and Jacob Birtwistle. So no surprise now that we can see them in the distance and starting to make up a little bit of ground. Hayden Wild, he looks pretty strong up near the lead, but still a good 3 kilometres to go. And if anything, going uphill, Jamie Riddle, maybe those legs are just starting to feel it, and you can see the red vest, the red wetsuit of Yee coming into play. So the big names are up there, but the Australians aren't too far away. Yee's challenging for 2nd now. So Hayden Wild, a very focused man. He performed so well at the Tokyo Olympic Games in finishing in the bronze medal position.
Alex is closing. He's definitely closing. I know it's a front-on shot, so it's really hard to tell, but that gap is really closing. And we're going up that, like I said earlier, we're going up that long 3-minute stretch of hill. And I did think before the race, this probably favours someone like Alex. He's a very good cross-country runner, which is obviously normally has a lot of hills in it. So he's having a stormer of a race, and I think that's Matthew Hauser has moved into. He's about to catch up to Jamie Riddle. So we've got Aussies in 4th and 5th.
So this is getting a bit real now, Aaron. So we've got the first medals of the Commonwealth Games Birmingham 2022 to distribute here, and there's still going to be about 2.5 kilometres to run when they go through this first lap. So it's Wild trying to stave them off. As we have a look at this transition, anything you can see here?
No, I was trying to look closely there as to whether Hayden undid his helmet before he put his bike under the rack, which would be a penalty, but I think the bike went in just beforehand, so I think that's all safe.
And as the locals up close and personal with Alex Yee trying to ride him home here and try and get him over the line. Everybody's invested here at Sutton Park in the closing stages of this men's triathlon. And let me tell you, Aaron Royal, it's the first medal for the Commonwealth Games, and it's a thriller.
It certainly is. Honestly, I can't pick it. I really can't pick it. My heart says Alex, but my head is telling me Hayden. So yeah, I don't know which way this is going to go. I know that in the races in the past this year, when Alex and Hayden have gone head to head, Alex has had the better kick and has come out on top of Hayden when it's come down to a sprint finish. But this is different. This is Alex trying to close a 20-second gap after the run. No, sorry, after the bike leg, and what that does to his sprint, I guess we're going to find out soon.
So they're about to ascend the rising ground, which is going to be really difficult for the Kiwi Hayden Wilde, with Alex Yee starting to really pick up some momentum, and he's getting closer and closer all the time. He went out with a quick bike leg, Hayden Wilde, did a lot of the work with his countryman Taylor Reid in the bike leg, and Yee, who was in that chase pack, has slowly but surely bridged this gap. And now all of a sudden, it's going to be a 1 kilometre sprint to the finish. They've just passed the 1K mark. The Kiwis trying to hold on, and Yee is now on his back. And there's Hauser in the distance, looking for a bronze medal for Australia. So it's going to be a great start for one of these nations, but Australia's looking like we're going to get a medal.
Certainly, Matty having a fantastic race, but these two, this is what we wanted to see. We thought this would be the case, but after that swim and that bike leg, I wasn't so sure. But now Hayden and Alex going toe-to-toe, just over a kilometre to go. We've seen it before. We saw it at the Olympics last year. We saw it at not Leeds this year, but in Montreal and Yokohama. These two are the clear form athletes. Look at them. Look at them. There we go. They're good friends. I'm sure Hayden just said, nice to see you. And let's have a good battle. And we're about to crest the hill now, and let's see who's got that finishing speed. And this last kilometre, downhill finish into the finish line, it's going to be epic. Yeah, it looks like they've playing a little bit of cat and mouse here. You see Hayden going back to the front. He knows that he can't leave it to the blue carpet with Alex. He knows his superior finishing speed. He really needs to try and get rid of him early on, and you can see now he's putting in a dig as they go down the hill just before the finishing line.
So as they descend, just a little bit of pace comes on, and Wilde leads Yee. What a fascinating final 200 metres or so it's going to be. Can you pick it, do you reckon, Aaron? Can you pick it?
I'm going to go with Alex. I'm picking Alex here. Yep, turn in the corner. Yeah, so now they're onto the flat section, into the finish. Here we go.
So here we go. So head down for Wilde. Yee is just going to sit off him at the moment. Wilde can see the finish line in sight. Yee looks pretty comfortable, doesn't he? We're past 50 minutes. And now Wilde swings to the left. Oh, look at that for sportsmanship. He just looks over to Yee and says, let the best man win.
Wait. I don't know what's happening here. Hayden's got a penalty. He did. I thought that, yes, he's got a penalty. Hayden's got a 10-second penalty.
So there you go. So Hayden Wilde, it was an issue at the transition that you spoke about, and Yee is going to come through and take it. What a performance. What a fantastic display by Alex Yee. The first gold medal at Birmingham goes to England, the home country. And coming through, it'll be Wilde, a disappointing look on his face. And look at the Australian come through, Hauser. So he narrowly missed in the Gold Coast 4 years ago, but not in Birmingham. He's going to have a bronze draped around his neck as Jacob Birtwistle comes charging through towards the finish line. And another big performance from him as well, finishing in 4th. So a penalty for Wilde. And in the end, what great sportsmanship, having a look at the finish line when Wilde turned around and said, well, if I'm not going to win it, I'm happy for you.
Yeah, certainly, and I think that might have been what they were talking about as we saw him speaking at the top of the hill. Hayden may have said to him he has a penalty. I thought I saw something, but it wasn't showing up on our monitors, so I didn't want to say something so out of turn. But I'm just so wrapped for Matty Hauser and Jake Birtwistle. He, like we mentioned, he hasn't had the best start to the year, and to finish 3rd and 4th, you know, they had a disappointment. We had a disappointing Olympics last year, there's no doubt, and to come out now and show that, you know, they're still some of the best athletes in the world, I'm just super wrapped for them and really proud and happy to see them doing well.